Shalom Akim, Shalom Akwathiam. Call Halal Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Radash, and double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. What I want to touch on in this particular video is the tribe of Gad. And who is the tribe of Gad today? They're referred to as the North American Native Indians. And why is this important? Because it's part of prophecy. It's prophesied that in these last days, there will be 12,000 from the tribe of Gad that are going to be sealed, all right? That's going to make up the governing body of the kingdom of heaven. As a matter of fact, I have it pulled up. Bear with me one second because I have my sword out from it, and I'll just read the precept to do it justice, all right? So it's important that we know who the Gadites are today. And it tells us this is Revelation. I'm going to jump right down to the 5th chapter, and we'll get right into this lesson. You know, we'll get into some history and some archaeology, and of course the scriptures to further substantiate who the tribe of Gad is, all right? The North American Native Indians are Israelites. Revelation, the 7th chapter, and the 5th verse, and it reads this. Of the tribe of Judah were sealed 12,000, and of the tribe of Reuben were sealed 12,000. And here's the point. And of the tribe of Gad were sealed 12,000. I got a video pulled up that I want to play to tie into this particular lesson, and I hope through the spirit and the power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, that this lesson is edifying. And of course, YouTube, I'm utilizing this short under the Fair Use Act. Again, fair use. Let's get right into it.
We are the chosen people. We are beautiful. We are indigenous. We are strong. We are survivors. And we shall remain. We are warriors strong. Live strong. Be strong. Stay strong. We are the chosen people. We are beautiful. We are indigenous. We are strong. We are survivors, and we shall remain. We are warriors strong. Live strong, be strong, stay strong.
I want you to keep this in your mind too as well. In the book of Revelation, the 21st chapter, right, around about the 13th verse on down, each tribe of the, when we enter into the kingdom of heaven, each tribe is going to have its own gate. All right. I'm just speaking as a man, but you I would like to think that each tribe, when we enter into that gate, each tribe is going to have its own ambiance, its own flavor, its own rejoicing, its own style of singing. That's what we have to look forward to in our kingdom. And it's going to be permanently that way forever. Let me come out of this here, right? Let's get right into this. Let's get into some artifacts and some scriptures there. All right. Now, you can look more into this in your own time, but there's a myriad of artifacts that have been found all throughout the United States. And this is only what they're sharing with us. This is only what they're telling us. Trust me, there's far more artifacts than what we will ever know. Now, many brothers already know this, but I'm sure there's new listeners that might not be privy to this information. So, we're going to bring it out anyway. Now, it tells us this. And the AI overview, it tells us, and I'm just going to touch on just a few artifacts that have been found throughout the United States, all right? Because the Native Americans, they wrote and spoke in Hebrew. And how do we know? A few artifacts, it tells us in Ohio, a set of artifacts known as the Newark, holy stones were discovered in the 1860s, inscribed with Hebrew lettering, all right? And this is called the Decalogue stone. And Deca meaning what? 10. That's referring to the 10 Commandments. All right. Now let me come from here because there were more stones found throughout a myriad of places, also in Tennessee as well. It tells us this: in the late 1800s, a stone tablet with just excited in the spirit. A stone tablet with what appeared to be Hebrew writing was found in a burial mound in Tennessee. This artifact is known as the Bat Creek Stone. Sparked a controversy. Remember, the Lord is coming. He's going to settle this controversy of Zion, meaning who the true and real Israelites are. Okay? When I wrote that word controversy, that's the first precept that came to mind. With some initially believed to be Cherokee writing, and others like Cyrus Gordon suggested that it was Paleo-Hebrew. However, further analysis revealed the inscription was likely a forgery, possibly created by the person who discovered it, John W. Emert. And of course, they're going to put this in there to throw doubts, but we know that this is Paleo-Hebrew here. Now, let's come from this here, okay? And of course, I wanted to touch on the garments, as I've been doing in these various lessons, touching on, the language that was found there, the language that was inscribed and written on stones, written on, various locations throughout these various regions that I've been touching on in this particular series. And also, we already know that the Native Americans are known for wearing what? Fringes and the borders of blue. And this is outlined all through the scriptures. Let me grab a few more photos as well. Let me see what else we have here. As we can see, and we have to understand that each tribe is going to have their own style of dress, their own style of pertaining to their tribe too, as well, as we can see here. And of course, call Allah Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, as we're going into, as we see 144 there, we're talking about what? The 144,000 men that's going to make up that governing body of the kingdom of heaven. Now, the 144,000, I want to say this too as well. They're not all of the elect. They're just the select of the elect. All right? Remember in Revelation, the 7th chapter, there's also going to be an innumerable multitude. That's the rest of the elect. The other men, women, and children too as well. So when we see photos of this sort, of course, Numbers, the 15th chapter and the 38th verse comes to mind, and it reads this: "Speak unto the children of Israel, and bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments throughout their generations, and that they put upon the fringe of the borders of a ribbon of blue." And as we can see from the various photos that I started with from the onset, not only were the Native Americans practicing the law, statutes, and commandments, they were speaking in Hebrew, writing in Hebrew, so on and so forth, as we saw with these various artifacts that have been found throughout the Americas. Okay, now let's come from here and let's go directly to the book of Genesis, the 30th chapter, the 9th through the 11th verse. And it tells us this is how the tribe of Gad received their name. And it reads, "When Leah saw that she had stopped bearing means what? Stop having children. She took Zilpah, her handmaid, and gave her to Jacob as a wife. And Leah's maid Zilpah bore Jacob a son. Then Leah said, a troop comes. So she called his name Gad." And of course, Gad means troop. Now let's go into the prophecy concerning the tribe of Gad in the latter days. And it reads this: "Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last." Now, when did a troop overcome Gad? And you can look more into these details in your own time. But I wanted to type these questions into Google just to see what answer I would receive. And some of this is spot on. And it reads, and it tells us this in the AI overview. Generally, Native Americans' resistance to Europe and later the American expansion was overcome by a combination of factors. All right. And we're going to touch on a few of these factors, but this is when Gad was overcome. All right. And it tells us this, including militarily defense, disease, and destruction of their traditional way of life. And that's what Esau, Edom, the Edomites do. They're the hammer of the earth, man. They come to kill, steal, and destroy. And we have a myriad of examples here. All right. It tells us here are some key examples: the Spanish conquest, the Spanish conquistadors, so on and so forth, the British and American colonial expansion. All right. And I won't read all of this. I'll just touch on a few of these. All right. It tells us this: the Cherokee Wars, the Battle of the Fall of Timbers, the War of 1812. All right. Continuing on, one I want to make sure that I touch on is the Indian Removal Act of 1830. And it tells us this: this act allowed for the forced relocation of Native American tribes from their lands east of the Mississippi River. This forced removal of the Cherokee is known as the Trail of Tears. It resulted in 3,000 deaths. You see what happened there? Okay. All right. And let me come from this here. Another question that I asked Google just to see what would I get, and of course I'm going to filter this answer through the scriptures. I asked, where is the tribe of Gad today? And listen to the answer that I received. The tribe of Gad, which are the North American native Indians, one of the 12 tribes of Israel, settled east of the Jordan River in ancient times. Today, their direct descendants are not clearly identifiable as a distinct group. Now we're of course they're being able to be identified because through the spirit and the power of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, we're able to identify who the tribe of Gad is and where they're found. All right, but let's continue on. As they, along with other tribes, were affected by the Assyrian conquest and subsequent dispersals, some theories suggest that their descendants may have assimilated into other populations, while others propose potential connections to specific modern day groups, but these are not widely accepted or definitely proven. Now you have to consider, after reading this AI overview, where can we go to prove and substantiate that the Northern Kingdom came to the Americas after the Assyrian captivity? Well, let's come from here and let's go to 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter, the 40th through the 48th verse. You also have to consider this too as well. You know, Christopher Columbus, he read the scriptures and he knew that the Northern Kingdom was here in the Americas, all right? That's why he also brought Hebrew interpreters as well, okay? All right? Now, it tells us this in 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter, the 40th through the 48th verse, further proving the point. It reads this: those are the 10 tribes, which are the Northern Kingdom, which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Osea, the king, whom Salmanasar, the king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, so that they came into another land. But they took counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. And that further country where never mankind dwelt, that's referring to Americas, okay? All right, continuing on with verse 42 on down, that they might keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into Euphrates by a narrow place of the rivers. Verse 44, for the Most High then shone signs for them, and held still the floods till they passed over. You have to consider the power that we serve is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He did this back in the time of Moses when he split the Red Sea, and he did this for the Northern Kingdom too as well, so they can land here in America. Okay, he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. But nevertheless, you know, the Northern Kingdom wasn't free from the curses, as we're going to get into here very shortly. Verse 45, for though that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Arsareth. Then dwelt there they until a latter time. And now when they shall go, and now when they shall begin to come, the highest shall stay the springs of the stream again, that they may go through. Therefore sawest thou the multitude with peace. You know, further proving that the Northern Kingdom came to the Americas. All right. Now, if you look up a map of America, you know, before the European settlers made contact, it was full of Northern Kingdom all over the place. North America, Mexico, South America, so on and so forth. But we know Gad, they were overcome, you know, by those various wars, the Trail of Tears, you know, with disease being conquered, so on and so forth. All right, let me come out of this here. Something that I like that is mentioned is Deuteronomy, the 33rd chapter. It states this in the first verse, and we'll jump down to verse 21 and 22. Okay, bear with me, Baba Kushal, and this is a blessing. I'm just going to read it. Look what it states here in the subtitle here. Moses blesses the tribes. And it reads, this is the blessing that Moses, the man of the Most High, pronounced on the Israelites before his death. Now let me come down to verse 21 and 22. And it reads this, verse 20. About Gad he said, blessed is he who enlarges Gad's dominion. And Gad lives there like a lion, tearing an arm or head. He chose the best land for himself. The leader's portion was kept for him. When the heads, of the people assembled, he carried out the Lord's righteousness, will, and his judgments concerning Israel. Now let me come out of this here because I want to make mention of something very quickly, right? No further proving that the tribe of Gad is the northern kingdom Israelites, all right? Now, this is some research that was done by, bear with me one second, James Adair. Now, James Adair, it tells us this. James Adair, he lived from 1709 to 1775. He authored what is arguably the most significant 18th century work on the Southeast Indians, okay? Now, I'm not going to read all of this. I'm just going to scroll down a bit to get to the point, all right? Bear with me one second, Bob Kusha, because I kind of lost my place here. Bear with me one second. Hold on one. Let me pause this real quick. Salaki for that brief interruption, but I wanted to get straight to the point, and I want to read a portion of this article here, and I'll leave a link in the comment section so you can read more of this in your own time. And it reads, more importantly, Adair's discourse of the original, more importantly, Adair's discourse of the origin of the American Indians is the most complete and systematic attempt by an American to discuss the question up to that time, a question of prime importance among intellectuals of Adair's day. His central thesis, which dominates the text and has subsequently caused many to dismiss the context, includes 23 arguments purporting to demonstrate that the American Indians are of Hebrew descent. You see, he has it in quotes, the lost tribes of Israel. You see, and these elites know this, man, okay? But I'm going to leave a link in the comment section so you can read more into that in your own time. Let's go to 1 Chronicles, the 12th chapter, and the 8th verse. It states this, and of the Gadites, which are the North American native Indians, there separated themselves unto David into the holes to the wilderness, men of might. A thought that comes to my mind is that the North American, Native American Indians, they were also referred to as tree niggers. Okay, I think I had that queued up as well. Let me see something. I had a fact queued up I wanted to share with you. I don't have it pulled up. I'll leave a link to that too as well. Okay, because one of the North American tactics is that when these settlers would come in, they would climb in the trees and jump out of the trees to attack, the Europeans, all right? The colonizers, if you will. You can look that up too as well. They would refer to them as tree niggers. Read that again. 1 Chronicles chapter 12, verse 8. And it reads, of the Gadites, there separated themselves unto David into the holes to the wilderness, men of might and men of war, fit for battle, that could handle the shield and buckler, whose faces were like the faces of lions, and were as swift as the roe upon the mountains. Now, a few more facts about, the Native American tribe is that they were considered marksmen with the bow and arrow, all right, with the axe too as well, all right? Okay, now in the AI overview, it tells us this. The Native American warriors were renowned for their exceptional marksmanship with traditional weapons like bows and arrows. This skill translated to firearms when they were introduced, making them highly skilled marksmen in the early American military conflicts. They were valuable assets in both traditional warfare and early American military campaigns due to their ability and expertise. You see that? All right. So how much more so when the Lord gives his men those spiritual powers, right? And one more fact I want to call out too as well, is how, our people, they use war paint during the time of war, and how that war paint symbolize, different looks, different ceremonies, so on and so forth. Just a few more notes about the northern tribe the tribe of Gad too as well. And it tells us this here. Native Americans men use face paint for a variety of reasons, including spiritual and ceremonial purposes, as well as for decoration and psychological conditioning, especially among warriors. All right? Okay? And again, wanted to touch very briefly on the tribe of Gad, because the Gadites, which are the Native American Indians, they are the children of Israel. And I hope through the spirit and the power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, that this lesson has been edifying. Shalom.